Hi guys, welcome back to the channel for another video. Today I'm going to be answering the questions that you are the most scared to ask. I put up one of those not gonna lie links. How Aussie was my pronunciation of that? Not gonna lie. Not going to lie links on my Instagram and asked you to send across the questions about recovery that you're most scared to ask so that they could be sent across anonymously. And you sent so many amazing ones. I know that I've been gone for a month, and I'm actually going to jump into a question that will both answer the question and address what's been going on with my social media and how that will hopefully change in the next couple of months. So I actually had 3 or 4 people ask a variation of this question. What are your biggest struggles as a coach? And somebody else asked, do you ever find coaching difficult? Why? So I've been an eating disorder recovery coach for 5 years now, 5 years or more. And I love the job. I wouldn't still be doing this job if I didn't love it, but it definitely has its challenges. There's a few things, particularly at the moment, that make coaching really difficult, but it's very specific to like the expansion of the business. We have a team of 5 who are working at Beyond Body, and that has taken up a lot of my time. At the moment, I am running absolutely every facet of the business. So all the admin, we provide one-to-one supervision with every single coach. We do group supervision every month as well, and we do quarterly training with the coaches. And yeah, run everything else, contracts and admin and invoices and all that stuff. And at the moment, I'm the one running sort of all the behind the scenes stuff. And that's been really challenging because obviously that's so much of where my focus needs to be, to make sure that my coaches are safe and supported, that their clients are safe and supported, that my clients are safe and supported. So what I'm planning to do is to bring somebody on again to come and help me with the business, which is always scary because I've had good experiences with that and quite negative experiences with that. And it's hard to let go when, yeah, it hasn't gone to plan sometimes. But that's why my social media has been a little bit quiet of late. I'm just trying to figure out how to juggle it all. And I think it's really important as I'm growing the business to be across every single iota of it, so that when I do train somebody to take care of some of these things, I know exactly what to train them in, but also so that I understand how this business works completely. And you know, that if I ever needed to run it myself again, then I would know what that involved. So at the moment, that's a very specific thing that has been challenging about coaching, but I can't complain. All of our coaches are pretty much at capacity and building wait lists, and they've only really been on board for a couple of months, except for AC, who's been with us for more than a year, who also has a wait list and is full. So they're doing great work. They're a dream to work with. It's been so fun. It's been so awesome to work with a group. And to have like this shared wisdom and support, and to have recruited amazing, amazing people. As far as the things that I find difficult about the coaching role itself, there's a number of things that can be challenging because coaching is really the day-to-day, you know, in real time, hearing from people as challenges are coming up. And because I've had my own lived experiences, I was actually talking to one of my coaches about this yesterday. The emotional investment that you have is so great because you've been in their position, that you want to do everything that you possibly can, even beyond your role, to help them. But ethically, there are just certain things that we cannot do. We can't go beyond our training. We can't go beyond our scope. So lived experience is such a game changer and such a powerhouse, but the personal process of that means that you can be quite emotionally invested in more than just like observing that they're going through a tough time. You know how tough that time can be, and yeah, feeling like, am I doing enough? Like, is this really going to make a difference? And because recovery can take a long time, you know, it's so up and down. That's what makes it so much more amazing to now have as many fully recovered clients as I have, and one of whom is now one of my coaches in the Beyond Body practice. You know, all of that investment and time and cheerleading and self-doubt goes away over time because you can see how much recovery has accrued and full recovery. And I remember through the course, Carolyn saying, And even afterwards, when I would, chat to her, she was like, you've got to be doing this for a while to see full recovery and to see what you're really working towards. So that's been great to work with my newer coaches who have all of that doubt and aren't, 100% confident, like, am I doing enough? And I'm like, that's okay. That's part of the process. That's kind of like a rite of passage. And once you see enough full recovery, you'll just instinctively know that your instinct is right. So, but that just means you've got to have really great support. That's why I love what we provide to our group, that they have support, they have me as backup. They can, run anything by me, whereas I did it solo for a long time, and it got really tricky at times. How to recover with zero accountability. By this, I think this person means they don't have maybe any external accountability. Maybe they don't have a team, or they don't have people in their immediate support system who can hold them accountable. And this is always my answer to that. No doubt, it makes the recovery process feel much more supported and much more reinforced when we have other people to hold us accountable. However, none of that really means anything unless you are accountable to yourself. So you could be with a team and with a great support system and not be holding yourself accountable, and you're not going to make the progress that you need to make. I think this idea is really rooted in maybe previous treatment experiences for some people, where it's very like treatment versus person, as opposed to the approach that we were trained in at CCI, which is we're empowering that person. We're giving them the tools and the framework and the encouragement, and yes, the accountability, but we're teaching them to be those things for themselves. Whereas there's kind of a revolving door system in a lot of parts of the world, certainly in parts of Australia, where it's very, this person's going to be dragged through this whole process. And we take a much more empowering, learning lessons way bigger than just recovery through the process. So you don't have no accountability. You have accountability to and for yourself, right? I went through recovery and I had a psychologist. For that, I was incredibly lucky. I didn't have a dietitian. I didn't ever go into treatment. I didn't ever go into hospital for my eating disorder. That was not a thing. I lived on my own in Sydney. Like, my family didn't live near me. I was an adult. 99% of what I had to do, I had to be accountable for. No one was going to call and say, did you do that? Or send me a message and say, how did this go? It just had to get done. And I knew, right, when people say to me, well, no one will know. The most important person will know, and that's you. The person who your recovery or non-recovery is most going to impact is you at the end of the day, right? So this idea that we've got to wait for external approval or validation or accountability, I think keeps people stuck in areas that, like, again, go beyond recovery. If I had waited to do all the scary things that I've done post-recovery because I was waiting for someone else to come and tell me I could or should, or, to hold me accountable, I wouldn't have done them. The big stuff that you have to do, you're watching all of that. When you're not doing the thing that needs to be done. Hello, possum. Come here. I've lost all hope that I'll ever fully recover. My depression makes everything seem like there's no point in even trying. Any advice? Please go and get whatever is the most immediate need treated. It sounds like if the depression is creating, and also I am saying this as a coach, as someone who doesn't treat depression, but who has observed barriers to recovery with clients. It's like when we have clients who have trauma, and sometimes they need to recover to a point where they can work on that trauma, and then sometimes they need to work through trauma before they can do the next stage of recovery. If your depression keeps creating that barrier and you need to address that, please put your time and resources and energy into that, whilst putting a plan together, hopefully with the help of professionals who can keep you in a safe place whilst you do that. That's sometimes my job, not people who are like at the chronic critical end, because that's outside of my ethical, boundaries. but to get someone to a point where they can address the comorbidities that are feeding into the eating disorder, you can absolutely fully recover. Sorry, I am obsessively patting her. Sit down. Thank you, darling. What I say all the time is different things for different people at different times. It's like when we have clients where coaching is no longer appropriate, or we can see from the jump that coaching is not going to be appropriate for someone. I never say to them, the door's closed because you can't do coaching now because it's not safe for you now. It's never going to be safe for you. I say, oh no, we're always here, but we want you to get the most out of it and to make sure that you are safe doing it. So if that's where you need to put your attention now, that's going to benefit your ability to fully recover down the track. So don't feel like you have to do everything at once. Make sure you're safe and safe enough to address the things that might be feeding into your eating disorder. Again, not a therapist. These are just my observations as a coach and a bit of my own lived experience as well. But please address any of this with a qualified professional. How long will this whole recovery journey take? Because I've just reached 12 weeks and I want to be free already. Totally get that. Your recovery is going to take as long as your recovery takes. We don't have any timelines that we can offer to people. There's just no one size fits all. I've never seen two people with the exact same eating disorder. Of course, we have parallels and similarities, but in terms of their history, their symptoms, their experience, their current setup, no two eating disorders are the same, no two recoveries are the same. So we can't say, well, the average tells me that with your situation that it's going to be this long. What I will say to you is this. Well, I'll ask you something first. How long have you had your eating disorder for? How long did your eating disorder promise you that it was the answer, that it could help you, that it could get you to all these outcomes, that it kept dangling in front of you as it pulled you further and further and further along this dangerous path, as it took more and more and more and more stuff away from you, from your health, your mental health, your relationships, your opportunities, most importantly, your relationship with yourself. How long was the eating disorder given to fix everything? And not only did it not fix everything, it took more away from you than it ever could have possibly given you, right? Always in a deficit as far as it did this, by doing all of this stuff that, totally makes its contribution redundant. That's what I say to people. If we weren't prepared to look at the eating disorder and go, hang on a minute, you promised me this and this and this and this, and this is taking too long, and I'm not getting anything out of this that you promised. But we tend to take that attitude with recovery, and it's like there's so much that recovery's got to do. There's so much physical healing, mental healing, healing of relationships, healing of sense of self, finding purpose and identity, learning how to help seek, learning how to distract, learning how to use healthy coping mechanisms. And that's amazing that we have a process that can do that with something as destructive as an eating disorder, right? So if we're not prepared to point the finger at eating disorder the way that we're pointing the finger at recovery, we kind of got to look at our reasons for expecting something out of recovery that we never expected from something that just, evidently does nothing, whereas recovery from the beginning is repairing, it's healing, it's helping. Even if it feels awful and uncomfortable, the body is healing, it's repairing. That's amazing, right? That was a switch for me. As much as, yes, I was uncomfortable, hated a lot of the process. I remember because I had a skin condition that was caused by my eating disorder that I still have to this day, but it was constantly flaring up, and because I went into recovery, my skin started to heal, and I thought that's so cool that as much as I have punished my body and hated it and wanted it to be different and thought it was working against me and that my eating disorder had my back, the second I went, I give up, I can't do this anymore, I can't live like this anymore. Anything in that recovery process has got to be better than what's going on this endless cycle that I've been on for years, right? And it did. My body didn't go, well, I'm just going to sit back and see if this lasts, or I'm just going to see if she earns it. It was like, no, we're here. Let's get to healing, right? You're allowed to hold space for the two things that, yes, it feels uncomfortable and really, really awful at times, but so did your eating disorder. But eating disorder never really had to give us a spreadsheet of this is everything I promised and this is everything I've delivered. And it didn't, right? So your recovery is going to take as long as it's going to take. And it's going to be so worth it. We are not all being like sponsored. All the fully recovered people out there aren't being sponsored to be like, oh, full recovery is the best and we're all part of a cult and we're being paid money to tell you this. Like there's no wonder why we all say, oh, it was hard, but best thing I ever did. Where do you see yourself in 10 years personally and professionally? Good question. I never used to have like fixed long-term plans, and I don't really have anything too fixed now, but I definitely know that I'm going to be a mum in the next couple of years, and there's plans in place to make that happen. Absolutely going to keep building the business and making coaching available to as many people as possible. Like with everything I've tried with the business, I've gone in as a total novice, and the goal has always been to provide help to people where there has not been help. Probably living between Sydney and here on the South Coast, spending as much time with family and seeing the world and, you know, keeping it fairly general, but baby and business are two biggest focuses right now. But 10 years, I'll be turning 45, so check back. I wonder if there'll still be a YouTube channel here in 10 years. Am I obligated to recover from my eating disorder? You're most obligated to yourself. But as far as, like I say to clients all the time, and they're like, well, I don't want to do that, and I don't want to do it. And I'm like, that's fine. I can't fly over there and tie you down and make you do it. If you want to do it, I'm here. I've got, you know, very well tested means of getting people to those outcomes if they're the outcomes they want to get to and they're currently able to get to. There's no outpatient setup that is a replacement for higher care. And very often people do have a motivation to recover, but the eating disorder is so pervasive at that point that they can't connect to that. So they need higher care to address that, and then they can connect more to the part of them that wants to recover. But as far as being obligated, I think the most important you're obligated to is yourself, and that part of you that I can promise you, even if you don't feel connected to it, definitely wants to recover, knows that this is hell, knows that you wouldn't recommend it to anybody else, even though we can be convinced that it's different for us, it helps us, it's harmless, you know, it's not a terrible way to live. You pick someone you care about and make them live the way that you live for a week or a month or even a day. You wouldn't do it for probably any amount of money or any reward in the world, right? So obligated, I guess the question is to who? And I think the most important person, as I said, is you. So in that sense, yes, hello, we're going to stop now. We're going to stop. So I'm going to go because she is about to jump on every single surface and all you'll see is me saying, Lola, down, please. Thank you so much for joining me for another video. Like I said, the next couple of months, business stuff will settle. I'll probably have another pair of hands helping me out so that I am around here more. I promise I am still here. I'm not planning on going anywhere. There's just a lot to juggle, and it's all positive stuff, you know, it's all more so the helping behind the scenes that I can do at the moment. But as always, thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this community as we head towards the end of the 9th year here on this channel. Ooh, that's crazy. And I'll see you in a podcast episode or a video very, very soon. Oh, we have a couple of tickets left for the Body Neutrality Workshop, which is coming up on Monday. That link will be in the description box below, where we're teaching you all the most effective practical skills to reduce body image distress and help you navigate the recovery process through those uncomfortable body moments with practical tools, not just talking, actually the doing, which is where the most important change is made, right? Much love to you all. I will see you very soon and take care. Bye.